Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and good afternoon, and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. And you know what? This is the season of change. Changes in the air. Ever since this whole thing came along at the start of this year, it's been the season of change. And, changes to the monetary system. It's moving more into a more favorable position for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies all the time, as they are printing the fiat currencies into oblivion. But that's not what I wanted to really talk to you guys about on this show. I want to talk to you guys about the Earth has a limited amount of resources. And, you remember that Cash for Clunkers program that they had? They were taking in perfectly good cars, and smashing them up and taking them out and crunching them up. And it's just so wasteful. The way it's set up right now, we buy a car, in less than 10 years, it ends up in the landfill. The whole thing is just so wasteful and so hard on the environment. Not to speak about what comes out of the emissions out of the tailpipe of your car. Even though they have these catalytic converters and they have these emission laws and everything else, still, these automobiles, the tremendous amount of exhaust that pours out of the exhaust pipe is so hard on the environment. And here we have a person, oftentimes a woman, oftentimes she weighs less than 120 pounds, and to move from point A to point B, she's taken 5,000 pounds of metal with her. It's not needed. So what are our options? And how do we get from where we are now to a sustainable environment? And options that are going to be much easier on fuel. How do we get there? Well, here's what I propose. I propose a new law that they put out. First off, and a minor change to the freeways and to the highway system to make room for these vehicles who don't weigh 6,000 pounds, who weigh less. Here's how the law will work. It would be the 1550 law, they could call it. And it will work like this. Less than 15 horsepower, less than 1,500 pounds curb weight. So a vehicle that would have less than 1,500 pounds curb weight and less than 15 horsepower and go less than 50 miles an hour top speed would entitle you to half-price insurance, half-price vehicle registration. This is the new law they should put in. Half-price vehicle registration, half-price insurance, and and they need to open the highways up to these vehicles so that the police aren't constantly, they see in an alternative vehicle and they're going to pull you over as just something that they do because they want to look at your vehicle or whatever. It's annoying. If you buy one of these little vehicles, these little trike vehicles or whatever, it's got a little tiny car, the police will be constantly pulling you over every hour because they want to look at your vehicle because it's something different, something new. Now, if the highways are loaded with these vehicles, then you'd be free to go and nobody would bother you. That's what we need. We need it so that you're free to go and nobody's going to bother you, nobody's going to harass you, and you're not going to be different. When these vehicles first start coming in, they're going to be different because we're used to these big Flintstone cars that weigh like 6,000 pounds of steel going down the road. We don't need all that. All we need to do is get from point A to point B, and you'd be surprised, driving along at a steady 40 miles an hour, how quick you'll get there. It'll amaze you. It's only a matter, if you got a 10-mile journey, and you're going 65, 70 miles an hour, or you're going 40 miles an hour, it's only a matter of a difference in seconds, the difference in time it takes between the two vehicles to get to a destination. I've watched so many times people passing me, and they'll drive 5 minutes ahead, and they only make up a few seconds over a normal driving speed. And, they're rushing and everything. You want to get there earlier? Leave home 5 minutes earlier. You know? But how much are we going to save the earth? Let's look at some of these cars. Let's start the charts right here and take a look at some of these cars. Now, here's one that's one of the more famous ones. It was called the Elf. You know? It's extremely lightweight. I think it's only got a thousand watts of power driving it. It's electrical. I think its top speed is only around 30 miles an hour. And it only weighs like maybe 200 pounds or something. It's extremely light. And it's called the Elf. Of course, you know, I mean, gas consumption, you use electricity, but if you were to convert over to what it would use in gas, it would use like 30 miles for one cup full of gas. You know what I mean? It's just super, super efficient. Now, there's quite a few pictures here of the Elf. There's not that many manufacturers. Here's a little bit different one right here. This is built a little bit heavier. As you can see, this is probably getting up around 750 pounds. But like I say, allow the manufacturers to go up to like 1,500 pounds before they would go over the limit of the 1550 rule, you know? Call it the 1550 rule. Now here's another one right here. You know, and you notice how the tires are spoked, you know, and they're more akin to somewhere of a cross between a bicycle tire and a motorcycle tire. It's amazing, you know. Those type of tires can carry a substantial payloads. It's amazing. Weight to payload ratio on those kind of tires is greater than the weight to payload ratio on a regular car tire. Now take a look at this. Here we have two regular cars, and one of these cars is parked in between. That's the kind of tricks you can do, you know, if you got one of these little cars. You could practically go inside some stores and stuff if the car's electrical, if they'd let you in. Now here's a different one. This one wouldn't weigh very much, you know. Some of them have bicycle assist, like you can pedal to assist them. Some of them are a little bit larger than others. Here's one's a little bit larger. This one would probably, and this has got a full-size door with a roll-up window and probably 2 seats inside it and storage in the trunk. You know, but still a lightweight vehicle. It probably weighs around 1,000 pounds. So you can see how much you'd get with a 1,500 pound limit. You'd get right up there, probably almost, if they were very careful about their weight and they used a lot of aluminum and they used a lot of materials that were like carbon fiber and things like that, they could probably build a vehicle under 1,500 pounds that would hold a family. It would have two sets of seats. In other words, a front seat and a back seat. They could probably do it. And 15 horsepower would probably get you up to the 50 miles an hour with no problems with 4 people. It can be done, you know? And you can imagine the thing would probably get 150 miles to the gallon. This is where we need to go, you know, with this, and we need more manufacturers being innovative in this. Here you can see some of the manufacturers nowadays, you know, are just people at home trying to build a car out of fabric even. They're doing it themselves. This one looks like it's practically homemade. And it looks like he's used a lot of high tensile strength fabric, you know, for the body covering and everything. And he's probably bought the parts from China and stuff and put it together himself. That's what it looks like anyway. Take a look at this one. Now this looks like it's a concept car. Looks pretty big, you know, but it would probably still be able to do it using modern lightweight materials and keep it under the 1,500 pound limit. Here's another one again, you know, and it's got 3 wheels, and it looks like this is in someplace like Korea or someplace like that. But it's a very cute little vehicle. This is what we need. We need this, and we also need, on our highways, we need electrical bikes. You know, and if people, should have the same rules applying to electrical bikes, but they should even be more less stringent about the highway rules. In other words, if the bike is under a certain weight and everything, and the weight categories and everything, it should be no license required. Uh, and so it would make electrical bikes more effective. They should have it so that if a bike is under 1,500 watts and under say 35 miles an hour, then no problem. You shouldn't need to have license or insurance. That's the way the law should work in a good system way. And you can even do truck deliveries and stuff. Imagine you could deliver. That's quite a large delivery box. You could be a pizza supply company supplying a pizzeria, and you could have 1,500 pounds of weight inside that box, and it's all moved by an electrical motor or by foot power. This is the way we need to go to preserve the world's environment. Taking a look. A lot of these newer bicycles and stuff, you can fold them up. And you can take them right inside your apartment with you so that they don't get stolen. And capable of going 25 miles an hour down the road. And they even have shocks. They have disc brakes nowadays and everything else. The whole thing weighs about 60 pounds. You can just pick it up by a handle, fold it up and pick it up by a handle and walk up into your apartment with it. Really, really slick. Some of the newer stuff that they're coming out with. Look at this one. Now, talk about a cute little vehicle. Look at that. Now, that's a cute little vehicle, It looks like a two-seater, probably with storage in the trunk, and it would probably weigh around 1,000 pounds or maybe 1,200 pounds. And it looks to me like a vehicle like that might be able to go a little bit faster. It might be able to go 60 or 70 miles an hour. Here's another one. Kind of a cute wagon, This is what we need to do in our society nowadays. We need to be innovation is what we need. Look at this one. So there are manufacturers out there working on this. And I want to see it go forward. I want to see us be able to preserve our environment and not waste all of our fuel and waste gas and waste everything else, Anyway, listen, guys. Figured I'd show you some of these newer cars that they got coming along with. And see what you guys think of them. And a couple more pictures of them, different ones. Different people inventing in different places, inventing different ones. It's a new and growing field. I'm fascinated by it. I think it's wonderful. And we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.